If somebody wanted to start today and say, I need to add some gold in my portfolio, whether it's, stocks or ETFs, because this is an ETF program, there's so many different areas that they could go and look at and invest in. What
Mhm.
would you kind of pinpoint as I would look into junior miners or the refiners or what side of gold
Yeah.
would you say this is where the most opportunity lies?
Yeah, and I'm in sync with what you just said. I mean, to me, it's as much of a sort of trader tactical type position. So let's start with GLD. Tends to have a little more liquid options market. I do a lot of work in options. That's how I got into gold this time around. IAU still has a very liquid options market for most of us, but there are some subtle differences, and investors should always check that out. So it's GLD, IAU at the top, and then you have the miners, and then so you've got GDX and GDXJ. They're not the only ones, but they're the two kind of headliners. Where to start? Most liquidity, optionable, etc. And look, I mean, again, I go back to technicals. And I would give people kind of a friendly reminder. All right, so I'm with you, and what got my attention was that gold finally, not too long ago, I guess it's about a year ago, bust up through the 2000 level. It was around 1900 forever, or let's say no more than 1900 or about 1800. And here it is as we speak this day. It's at 2900 or a little bit above all-time high. So there's a few things going on there technically that I would see. First of all, it's finally broken out of if you want to call it a trading range. Uh, and I'm using GLD as the example because it tends to be close to about 1/10 the price of gold. It's a little bit below that. But it's been trading between 192 and 152, basically, or it did for the better part of 3.5, 4 years. And so I get the excitement, and that's exactly what plays into the how that I mentioned before. The idea of, hey, I'm going to buy gold and I'm going to hold it for years. I don't know if it's going to work out. I just know that I like to have a little bit more of a short attention span when it comes to this, and I don't want to put massive amounts of capital at risk. So, uh, because look, it has broken a new high ground. Okay, the problem again as a technician for so long, you get to literally what we call uncharted territory, and it's a little bit more difficult because you can't find familiar levels. But I will say this: there is a lot of asset flow into gold ETFs. It reminds me of some past episodes where it went kind of parabolic. But again, I think it's one of those things where the second you walk into the party, you want to just look around and make sure you know where the exit is.
Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Content is offered for information purposes only. Unless stated otherwise, any and all individuals participating in the video are third parties that include both professional investors and individual investors who may not be licensed or certified by any institute or regulatory body. Unless stated otherwise, the views or opinions expressed may not reflect those of Seeking Alpha as a whole. The accuracy and completeness of content shared cannot be guaranteed. Seeking Alpha does not take account of your objectives or financial situation and does not offer any personalized investment advice. Seeking Alpha is not a licensed securities dealer, broker, U.S. investment advisor, or investment bank.